Hello, this is Jay. Sorry I can't be there with you guys today. However, I thought this would be kind of a clever way to go through the mask directive. It won't be as funny as the meditation, sadly. So, all right. Uh, who is this side of yourself or persona? I said that this side is an attempt to show kind of my world going both upside down and right side up, with kind of easygoing blue skies and fluffy clouds. But all really one has to do is change their perspective, look at me a little bit differently, and this is analytically, and they will see the kind of torment um, or the mischievous inside trying to consume me. And if you look deep enough, you can kind of see the heat and the fire, which obviously represents kind of many things, both passion and betrayal. Uh, One of the things I wanted to focus on was that, luckily I have enough tools right now to keep that inner hell from completely consuming me. When does this part of your self persona come out or reveal itself? This part kind of reveals the duality or the balance, the tightrope act I have to maintain, so my exterior persona doesn't um, touch the interior. I keep them very, very separated. There's distinct boundaries. But I think if untrained, um, will ultimately lead to some bleed over. One of the things that I really wanted to focus was that um, to, in order to maintain my exterior persona, um, I realized that I will, in fact, collapse into my interior. Um, Sorry, I'm getting sad. um, if I can't control myself, if I can't actually fall back on my emotional tools. I should emphasize that the outer shell has almost all of the tools of the inside, but resiliency and the will for perseverance. And I keep that on the outside because the inside, it's almost like there's no room. I'm automatically at a sub 100 there. Um, and keeping the outside alive is kind of only possible by recognizing kind of the struggles I have internally. If I forget my tools, it's kind of when I call it the instead of post traumatic stress disorder, I call it my post traumatic stress demon. That's when the demon starts to pull apart, is when I forget my tools or I get caught up in the heat of the moment. And that's a very big concern for me. Um, what feelings evoke this part of yourself or persona to reveal itself? The feelings of support, love, and triumph allow me to continue holding a sunny disposition, to continue to go forward without it being a chore. The need to feel happy while being tender. I didn't want to use the vulnerable word there, the V word, but tender and kind to oneself is truly reflected in the exterior of who I am, or in this case, the mask. The eyes really capture the daily struggle, with one side seeing the greatness of humanity, while the other side still hangs on to the portions of my past without asking me or my persona for permission. It just takes constantly keeping me on my toes, constantly reminding me of where I came from and where I'm capable of going. What does this part of yourself do for you when it reveals itself? This part of my persona is the true visual representation of zero suds. This exterior, kind of happy-go-lucky. I'm able to be present and enjoy the moment without being burdened with the PTSD. Um, in this case, I'm referring to the D as the devil or the demon. This side reflects the peaceful and enlightened side of humanity that I know all living creatures process. Um, I feel that happiness can burn through the gloom, but just as equally that gloom can burn through, and that's why there's the hole on the right side. Where's my left side? I don't know, left and right. Whatever I say, the other left. Um, no, it's the left side. As you know, in Latin, left is sinister, right is dexter. So yes, I chose the left side because that's my sinister side, right? The evil side. Um, when did this part of yourself first reveal itself? How old were you? After what event? During what circumstances? The kind of outside first came through in my childhood as it represented probably the purest and most non-biased emotions of childhood. But as time and abuse became more commonplace, the little demon would chip away at that little exterior or the purest representations of my soul, and lead to deception, lies, and behavior that was only self preserving in nature, meaning that I would often do what I had to do to protect myself and not others. There was no act of selflessness. I stressed it furthermore by saying I had to protect myself from being physically and verbally abused. And the split occurred probably when I was really young. So I'm not entirely sure. There's been so many altercations that I can't remember the exact onset. The circumstances were always all around acts or threats of violence. What does this part of yourself persona hide or show? This persona both hides and shows the struggles I've had in order to self persevere. The happy clouds shows kind of the struggles I've been hiding for years. You know, basically the blue sky behind the clouds, but the clouds still cover up parts of the blue sky. Whereas the demon is the anger and the bottled rage that I've suppressed. Only those who took the time to know the real person, the real Jay, the real persona, they realized there was basically a devil in sheep's clothing. The aggressive, blind rage was so uncontrollable um, that I'm truly shocked I'm not writing this from behind bars. Um, yeah, the outside persona is still incredibly flawed, and at times I ask myself if the outside persona is still being controlled like a marionette by the inside. Um, let's see, did I already say that this persona? That was number six. What does part of yourself? I already showed that one. All right, seven. Um, who sees? Do you allow to see this part of yourself or this persona? I actually said that only those I trust. No matter how much stress, I'll hide it, and I'll hide it well. But once I feel comfortable, the demon comes out, mostly on the ones that I love the most, effectively alienating my deepest connections. Um, but sunny disposition Jay will continue to be fake, or attempt to present a perfect sunny day to superficial relationships. And that part is still a little confusing. Although I do understand a lot of it had to do with self preservation as a child. Um, Now that I have the tools, I'm kind of working through what that actually looks like. Um, Number eight was, um, does the self persona hurt you or others in any way? The self persona has always been a front, and the deepest relationships have become kind of specks of dust once they realize the person I am, meaning they will fade from my life, or I will choose to cut them out by ignoring them and not actually taking responsibility for my outbursts, my rage, my anxiety, lies, and deceit. Um, my deepest relationships disappear because they all see the clouds and sunshine guy, um, and they realize once the demon pops up that clouds and sunshine can't be trusted, that it's going to turn to rain. What would happen if this persona did not exist? If this persona didn't exist is a big what if, and I don't do what ifs to myself. I can't anymore. I think this persona needs balance and can't be fueled by disingenuous intentions. If fueled by the wrong side of the spectrum, things could be worse. I'm happy this persona exists kind of now, not necessarily in the past when I look back at it, but kind of developmentally and foundationally what this persona has become, because it kind of helps me look into the mirror and ask the hard question of who I am and is that who you really are? And sometimes I can answer that question, other times I'm just kind of left speechless. Last one here on the outside. Is there anything that you would change about the side of yourself or persona? I would change so much if I was starting from square one, right? Without support. So starting from brand new, how would I go about this? Yeah, I probably would restructure it all. But now I see things and emotions from a very different perspective. And the person outside has learned a lot from the person on the inside, kind of vice versa. And what this person has learned, or this persona has learned, is that balance and depth can exist. You can have this dynamic personality. You can have a little bit of a feisty side. Um, you can be this way as long as you don't sacrifice your integrity, your morals, your values, candor, honesty, and your loving relationships. So that was my outside. So moving over to the inside, um, who is the side of your persona? Um, the inside is, if you look very carefully, it's a demon covered kind of by fire, but that fire can represent, as I said in the outside portion, a lot. It doesn't have to represent necessarily negative hatred and aching. It can represent passion and an internal drive. My problem is that that demon seems to be sitting at the wheel, and if you see where the kind of demon's hands are and foot are, they're kind of ripping open that side of the face to try to let itself cross the worlds. And depending on what your perspective is, on the inside, he wants to come out. On the outside, I'm trying to wince as hard as I can to keep him in. So, who is the side of yourself, the persona? The side at times is the grand manipulator, is what I refer to as the post-traumatic demon, the cancer, the catalyst for so many of my problems. The persona that convinces me that inaction is still an action, and being miserable is okay because that's all we know, and anything else is foreign. So why bother invest yourself? And if you do it at the expense of others. Why waste your energy? How does the side of your persona feel? This persona feels so much when it's not regulated. Meaning, if I can't balance the outside with the inside, it will completely take over that persona. It will control me. It will lead me to states of depression, deep rumination, and I will ultimately spiral out of control and not be able to regulate. And it may take days, weeks, my next ketamine infusion, in order for me to turn the page, in order for me to find baseline, or at least close to. Is there ever a time you show and reveal as part of yourself persona? So this often comes through in rage, anger, frustration. If I can't resolve the situation and I don't know the solution to it, I tend to start to break down, and my emotional quotient, if you will, becomes non-existent, and I revert to the demon, and the demon just does what's easy, what's simple, what's manipulative, what's going to get results quickly, so we can move on. to the next. And in this case, it's the next. Trying to read my writing. I think it's the next objective is what I was trying to say, but it doesn't matter because the demon will ultimately persevere and basically apply the same results to the same objective, and we'll still be stuck deep in that hole. How does the side of your persona? Did I already answer that one? How does the side of your persona help you or others? So, like I said earlier, this persona can also be kind of the great motivator as long as the exterior is keeping the interior in check. Meaning that I know the sun's gonna rise and the sun's going to set. There'll be morning, there'll be night. This little demon is a great example of what not to do. And often when I start finding myself, before my SUDS probably exceeds 40, feel myself going down that path, I'm able to kind of look at that demon and say, all right, what would you do? I'm going to do the exact opposite of it. And that tends to work out. How does it hurt you or others? The demon is self-serving, selfish, just wants instant gratification. And ultimately, that deceit and dishonesty might lead to an immediate response, such as leave me alone or whatever, but ultimately it causes a much deeper hole and more sadness. And to be honest, it's really difficult at times when I don't know if I'm in control or the demon is. How long have you hid this side? I'm not entirely sure I've ever hid this side. I think if I tried, it comes out. I think now I'm managing this side by using effective emotional intelligence tools, reasoning, and logic. Why can't you show this side yourself? Actually, I think I can now, and I'm fine with that. I actually want people to see that side and see who I am and kind of see who I've become and what I've come through, because it might help others understand that they're not alone. So I actually don't feel that it's something I ever have to hide anymore. If anything, I need to confront it head on, like I'm doing with this message. What should happen if you showed this side? I show this side. Sit in it. I lean into it. I love it. I hate the person I am when that side gets the better of me. But now I feel that if I can kind of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 or STOP a situation, even CPT, a stuck point for me, I can prevent that side from getting too strong and taking advantage of others and putting me in a situation where I've lost control. Is there anyone that knows the side of yourself? Yeah, I feel that everybody knows now that I have this side. This side got results, it got answers, it was able to interrogate, it was able to run source operations, it was able to be through and through, and by all means, a little fucker, a little hellion. But the people that actually matter the most are, my wife, my family, my friends in this cohort. And I want them to know that I have that blind rage, that anger, that frustration, and that I can work through but I can work through all of it by confronting it and understanding everything I can about my emotional and mental health and my well-being. Is there anything that you would change about this side of yourself? I think this goes back to number 10 on the last one. I think if we were starting at square one and I was presented with these two personas, I don't know if I would, kind of knowing what I know now, then I don't think I would present such a biblical, almost angelic versus demon type situation, because I'm certainly no angel and I know I'm certainly no demon. I think if I had to change anything about this imagery, I might add more imageries of self-love and support, because I kind of know now, and I think when I started writing my index events and my stuck points, that I have to show some tremendous love for myself, or grace, if you will. And I don't think I would necessarily have depicted my whole entire inner self being controlled by this demon. I definitely feel at times it can get the best of me, but I certainly don't feel like it actually encompasses everything about me. So I hope you enjoy. I hope my mask is dry so whoever's handling it doesn't get paint all over. If so, I'm sorry. You can just paint my face while I'm sleeping, getting my infusion. Anyway, sending lots of love. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this, and I look forward to seeing all of you a bit later. Have a good morning.